So, good morning, Andrea and Damien. Thank you for taking the time out this morning to talk to us. So, the main aspect of this call is to talk about cancer, especially with the topic coming up about Men's Health Week. So, we just want to raise awareness, and it's a chance for you to share your story. And we're going to share this with everybody in the council. So we have two topics today. We have testicular cancer and we also have cancer of the prostate. So Damien, I'm going to start with you. If you could just tell us in which department you are and your current job role.
Yeah, of course. So good morning, guys. My name's Damien, or Damo, and I'm one of the health trainers for the Wellbeing Service at Blackburn with Darwin.
Fantastic. And how long have you worked for the council, Damien?
Oh, crikey. I've been with the council, including freelance work, for probably about 10 years now, but the role that I'm doing at the moment, I'm just coming into my 4th year. Yeah.
Fantastic. And how old are you?
I'll be 37 this year.
37, fantastic. So, Damien, obviously, I know you have your story to share with us about testicular cancer. So, I just want to know really kind of, did you know anything about testicular cancer? Were you aware about it? Was it something that was like brought up in casual conversation between you and your friends, or was this just like a big impact and something new that obviously you learned about recently due to your experience?
I think being in the role that I'm in as a health trainer and, positive lifestyle change, things like that, I've always been aware of the topic, testicular cancer. Regular checks when you're in the bath or when you're in the shower or whatever. I'm quite an open person, and I do discuss it quite freely, especially with my partner as well. But yeah, I kind of feel quite comfortable with the topic. In terms of like statistics like that, probably not so much. I would probably have to do some research around that, but especially with my own experience, I'm fairly comfortable with that and talking about it. Yeah.
Okay. And what happened when you actually found your lump? Were you doing a standard check that you'd learnt about?
Yeah, so I'm 37 now, as I've already mentioned, but from like a younger age, obviously we've been encouraged with things like in the media, probably not so much, but I know about how to check for testicular cancer, and if there's any kind of abnormalities, just get them checked out. Just be brave, maybe discuss it with a friend or a partner if you feel comfortable to, and then go and seek medical help or medical support at least. And that's exactly kind of what I did. It was actually earlier this year, towards the beginning of the year. Got up one morning, felt like, I'll be really honest, felt like I've been kicked between the legs. And a couple of days before, it turned out that it actually stemmed from trauma, from just like a knock and a bang. But at that point, I didn't know. So I was doing my normal showering routine in the morning, noticed an abnormal shape in one of my testicles. Obviously I had this pain as well, kind of in the groin area. So I thought, this has been going on for probably the best part of a week and I need to have it checked out. Made the appointment with the doctor. I was very lucky to be seen the same day. And I went for the appointment and that kind of took me to the next stage. Yeah.
So when you say obviously you noticed that there was some abnormality, was it the shape of the testicle, so you could physically see the change in shape, or was it when you actually felt them?
It was more of a feel rather than the shape. I'm trying to make myself not laugh so much, but I'm quite familiar with my testicles, if that makes sense. But yeah, something just didn't feel right. And I think for me, it was kind of like, was my mind kind of racing ahead because I already had this pain? Or was I just thinking, oh, that doesn't feel right? And I was putting 2 and 2 together and coming up with 10. But the two things just didn't work out for me. So that was what made me feel like I needed to go and get some further support. Yeah.
And how did you feel as soon as you obviously noticed that change in, when how you said you felt something wasn't right? Were you anxious? Were you worried, or were you just a bit blasé about the whole situation?
I mean, I'd be lying if I said I was anxious, but I knew it was something I needed to get checked out. And yeah, I would probably be a little bit more blasé about it. In fact, I've specifically remember thinking when I booked the appointment, great, now I've got to take time off work, which I could do without. But these things happen, and that's why we have, well, especially working for the council, we have a great support network in terms of if you've got a hospital appointment, great, go for it. Take the time off if you need the time off. That's what, you know, that's what we do. That's what the organisation support with. And I did feel supported with that at the time. But yeah, it was more my focus kind of shifted from the actual problem to thinking, now I've got to take time off work, and what happens if it is a little bit more serious than what I'm thinking? What's going to happen then? And then you kind of start running away with your emotions, and you think you're kind of thinking 6, 9, 12 months down the line before you've even got it checked out. So yeah.
Okay. And what happened when you went to the doctors?
So I had my appointment. I seen a chap. He was actually a paramedic that I seen. He was a paramedic. He just happened to be in the doctor's surgery, and that was why I got the appointment so quick. And he explained like his background and what he was doing in the surgery as opposed to being out on the road and being a paramedic. And I was very comfortable with him, and it was very laughy and quite jokingly, but very serious at the same time, you know, very professional is the word I'm looking for. And he asked me about the days leading up to me feeling the pain before I actually noticed kind of any abnormal lumps, bumps, shapes, that sort of thing. So I explained to him that I do a lot of physical activity. I do a lot of group exercise. I do a lot of CrossFit, running, walking, all that sort of stuff. So he kind of preempted almost from the history, the signs and symptoms. And then he asked how I came about realizing that something wasn't right. So obviously we discussed the pain and what it felt like. And he said to me, describe in your own words exactly what that feels like. And I said to him, I'll be really honest, it feels like I've been kneed in the balls. That's what it feels like. It's almost like a sick feeling, like I need to crunch over sort of feeling. And he said, right, okay. And then he asked me to, would I mind him doing an examination? And I was like, no, absolutely fine. And then he did the examination, and then he had a couple of further questions after that. Had a good feel. Again, a little bit giggly, a little bit awkward, but you know, he's a professional. He's a, you know, I'm a fitness professional. You know, I work in public health. He's a medical professional. He works with the public. You know, we all know it is a little bit of a taboo sort of situation, and a lot of people can be quite shy about their bodies for whatever reason, but it was what it was. And after he did the examination, his hands were freezing, by the way, but yeah, it was fine. And then he told me that he was going to go through a couple of elimination things in terms of the pain that I was feeling, because what he examined physically was considered normal, and it was just kind of me overthinking things. And I was like, so this is the bit that I'm thinking that doesn't feel right. And he was like, no, that is actually normal. That's what it's supposed to feel like. So yeah.
Excellent. So why do you think a lot of men kind of put off going to see the doctor or going to investigate a little bit further when they do see that or feel that abnormality?
I think not so much in my experience, but from what I've heard and what you read and maybe what you kind of see in the media as well, is it's that taboo about going to be examined by somebody you don't know. I don't know about any of you guys, but I'd rather be examined by somebody I don't know rather than somebody that I do know. Do you know what I mean? But I think it's just a nervous thing of like, oh, you know, I'm a man, I'm all right, you know, I'm supposed to be big and strong, I'm supposed to hold on to my emotions, I'm not supposed to like break down or, you know, whatever. But this is serious, you know, that could, if it's caught early enough, if it is you know, a lot more complex than what my situation was, a lot more serious. It can be, if it's controlled very, very soon, it can be controlled and nipped in the bud straight away. But if it's not, and it's not kind of dealt with, it could progressively get very worse very, very quickly. And I think it's just that, going back to your original question, from a male's point of view, I think it's just that feeling of going to a doctor and knowing that, let's face it, you're going to have to drop your kecks and they're going to have to examine you. You know, that's the only way you're going to know whether you've got a problem with testicular cancer or not. And the sooner you kind of get used to the fact that you're going to be seen by somebody, the better. Because once you've walked into that room, you can breathe then, because you know you're going to get the support that you need, whatever that might be.
Definitely. I think as well, obviously, with your story is better, and it's, as they say, better to be safe than sorry. So even if it is something most people think, oh, I'm sure it'll go away, I'd probably just knock myself, it's always better to check. Unfortunately, due to the pandemic, I know that it's quite difficult now to get an appointment with a GP. So yeah, I think the build up as well could cause people to feel anxious while they're waiting for the appointment, and then they just think, I might as well just wait. So yeah, that's brilliant, and thank you for sharing your story, Damien, because I think that will definitely inspire a lot of other people and encourage them to actually go and visit the doctor, even if something just doesn't feel quite right. It is better to get that appointment booked, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. No problem.
So now we'll move over to Andrea. So Andrea, if you could just explain to us your job role and how long you've worked for the council.
Yep, so I'm Wellbeing Service Manager. So I manage the Wellbeing Service Hub and the health trainers. And I've worked for the council for just over 2 years.
Fantastic. So obviously, Andrea, in your case, we're talking about your father today, and he was diagnosed with prostate cancer, if I'm correct.
Yeah, so he was diagnosed with prostate cancer in October 2018, I think.
Okay.
So a good couple of years ago now.
What was the story kind of building up to that?
So Dad noticed that when he was going to wee, he needed to wee again, like really shortly afterwards. And initially he did book an appointment with a GP, but then it kind of resolved itself. So he cancelled that appointment. Unlike Damo, his appointment was for like a week's time. So it resolved itself and he cancelled the appointment. But then just after he was meant to have the appointment, the problem started again. So he made the appointment and kept it that time. So he described to the GP what was going on. The GP did what they call a digital rectal examination. So in other words, a finger up the bum test. He's in his 70s. So at that point, the GP actually said, your prostate doesn't feel any more enlarged than I would expect for a man of your age. But just to be safe, we're going to do a blood test. So GP did a blood test and they tested something called his PSA. I can't remember what PSA stands for, but basically the normal range for PSA is up to about 4, and Dad's came back at 35.
Wow.
So, which when I look at kind of stories of other people with prostate cancer, that's not high. Like people are coming back with readings of over 100 if it's been progressing so much.
Yeah. Okay. So obviously, how long did it take for those readings to kind of come back? Was it a long way or was it quite quick?
No, it was quite quick. So it was within a week of the appointment that blood test came back. And then he was referred on the 2-week rule for investigation for prostate cancer.
Okay. And what were the next steps moving forward?
So he went up to the hospital for an MRI scan, a CT scan, which confirmed there was something abnormal there. And then he went for a biopsy.
Okay. And how long would you say he was kind of in and out of hospital with these appointments, like the initial checks?
It was probably over the course of about 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah.
So like each stage took at least a week before we got to the next stage.
And who was going with him to these appointments?
That was my mum. So at this point in time, he hadn't told anybody until the consultant had kind of said, we are looking at cancer. And then he decided to tell the family.
Right, okay. So once he got that initial confirmation that it was cancer, and then obviously he told everybody, when they told him that it was prostate cancer, did they give him, I wouldn't really say a solution, but did they offer him support there and then and said, these are your options to kind of to move forward to get rid of the cancer?
Yeah, so initially they put him on testosterone blocking tablets. So prostate cancer does feed off testosterone. So they put him on the testosterone blocking tablets almost straight away when they kind of confirmed that it was cancer. And he was on those for about a month, which then progressed onto implants. So they started on hormone therapy pretty much straight away.
Yeah.
And then they kind of did a review with him a month or so later, and then decided to advise that he went on to radiotherapy. So the dad's cancer was what they call locally advanced prostate cancer. So it had broken out of the prostate. So surgery wasn't, not that it wasn't an option, but it wasn't recommended for that type of cancer. If it was just contained within the prostate, I think they do take the prostate out.
Yeah. And when he was first of all taking these tablets, and obviously he started with the treatment and the medication, would you say you noticed a difference in him, like physically, mentally?
Yeah, definitely. I think because testosterone plays such a big part in the workings of a man, if you will. So he started to get like hot flushes. It was almost like he was going through the menopause, which I think my mum found quite amusing at times because he wasn't very sympathetic when she was going through it. So he started getting kind of sweating. He started getting quite very, very tired. Quite emotional, which as well as the kind of impact of being diagnosed with cancer and because like Damo said earlier, you don't just think about what's going to happen next week, you start to think about what's going to happen next month, next year. Yeah, and he did start to he got physically tired as well as emotionally tired, so he couldn't walk as far as he used to, that kind of thing.
Yeah. And obviously, how is he now?
He's great. So he stopped all treatment earlier this year. So he's now off all hormone treatment. He was on the hormone treatment for about 2 years. He did the radiotherapy, which was Monday to Friday, every day for about 7 weeks, which was quite intense, but he did really well through it. He followed all the advice. And yeah, he's been cancer free.
Excellent, that's great news. It obviously sounds like he had a lot of support around him, with you and obviously your mum, his wife. But obviously there are people out there that may be going through this on their own, especially since the pandemic, with social distancing and not being able to see people, the support, and it's not really been the same, has it? So I think that's something that we definitely need to consider out other people that are going through this. I mean, like you said, your dad's 70. So obviously I'm guessing he's retired.
Yeah.
But if there's somebody younger that might need to start treatment that's in a full-time job, like Damo mentioned, the first thing he thought of was, I'm going to have to take time off work. So there's all that. Again, I think people look really far forward to the future and think, I'm going to have to take this time off. What's going to happen to the house? What's going to happen to my family? So yeah, I think it is kind of like this kind of pressure that starts to build up about everything else, not just about the illness. So yeah, I think it's great that you've both shared your stories with us today. So as part of Men's Health Week, we have got the Men's Health Forum manuals to give out, and we'll be posting these videos on Team Talk, and we'll be sharing them with everybody. If anybody has any further questions, they can feel free to reach out to one of the health trainers, or just to call the hub. And I'm sure somebody would be able to offer them advice, definitely. But we'll definitely be posting some more of this information out in the newsletters and in Team Talk. So thank you very much for your time, guys, and enjoy the rest of your week.
Thank you.
Thank you.